you ever been in someone's presence that you were like, no, that person's the greatest whistler I've ever heard?
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever heard anyone and been like, you are a superior whistler.
Yeah, it was nothing that had ever crossed my mind until I was at a John Mayer concert.
Hey YouTubers, welcome to another episode of What the F Am I Doing? The pod, where we are always asking ourselves, what the F are we doing? In today's episode, we have our guest, Chad Miller. Super cool dude. We're very excited to have him. He comes to us from Austin, Texas. He currently lives in Eugene, Oregon, and he blows glass. He's a very exciting guy, really fun to talk to. So in this long episode, grab a snack, tuck in, and enjoy.
Loving life at this John Mayer concert, and all of a sudden he starts whistling, and I was just kind of like dumbstruck. I'm like, oh God, this is amazing. And all of a sudden the guy standing next to me, whom I don't know, said, that's the greatest whistling I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't even a category in my mind until just now. And the guy goes, yeah, John Mayer is the greatest whistler I've ever heard in my life. He's solid at the guitar, but damn, the guy can whistle like a son of a bitch.
Fuck that guy. He's great at guitar and can also out whistle you.
Yeah.
What makes like good whistling? Is it
I don't know.
Like whistling like a canary, like a bird?
If it makes you cry.
It makes you cry.
Yeah, like what makes a good guitar player? I don't know. Like, why is Eric Clapton considered one of the greatest of all time? Like, is it because he's the fastest? Is it because he's
just one of the first to do it?
Technically sound. He just sounds so good when he plays the guitar. Mm-hmm. Same thing with John Mayer and whistling. Just sounds so good when he's putting his lips together and blowing.
You just want him to keep whistle.
Yeah.
Whistling.
Somebody said to him, make an O and blow when he was a little kid, and then it just took off from there like a rocket ship.
Thank God for that, Uncle. The experience that you got as a result was just astounding.
Great value.
When I first heard that he got to date Jennifer Aniston many, many years ago, I was like, yeah, it's probably because because he's kind of a goofy looking dude, right? He's not the best looking guy, but
I think he's gorgeous. But
well, I mean, she was right, but I mean, she went from like Brad Pitt and all these other dudes that are like 15s out of 10 on the like genetic scale of sexiness. And then, then there's John Mayer, and I was like, well, it must be because he's, pop star or whatever, and he's like an amazing guitar player. No,
it's because he's a whistler.
He's a fucking great whistler. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll start practicing. I'll never be a great guitar player, but I might someday.
Right?
Be a good whistler.
Because I'm always packing an instrument with me when it comes to whistling.
You can practice anywhere. I practice driving. You can't play guitar and drive at the same time.
Right? You got an hour-long drive after this podcast, and you can just practice the whole time.
Y'all are going to get a whistle
your little
next
hearts
tape.
out.
Look out, John Mayer. Our guest today, Chad Miller, is coming for you. Damn. Guys, welcome to the pod. What the F are we doing? Today we are interviewing our buddy Chad Miller. Mm-hmm. So Chad joins us from the great state of Texas, by God. And he comes to us by way of, Corpus Christi.
Yeah, originally.
To Austin, Texas. To Yoncalla, Oregon. To Roseburg, Oregon. And now resides in Eugene. So welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I have been looking forward to this pod since we started pods. I really wanted, I don't want to oversell this, you guys, but this is going to be the greatest fucking interview that we've done since the last one.
No pressure. Nice. Don't blow it.
No pressure. Yeah. So anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
I also want to kick this thing off by saying hi to a very special friend of ours, you and I, our friend Stacy Crow, who is listening.
Hi, Stacy.
So yeah, Stace.
Hi, Stacy.
Your fave.
I'm Shaun. Hi.
So anyway, we're going to talk to him about all kinds of things. Chad is a glass blower by trade and by art. Do you say that?
Yeah, it's an art.
Yeah, it is an art.
He's an artiste.
Trade, yeah, because that's because you work at it like a trade. You're not some flim flam artist here. You're here doing work.
We're gonna discuss the art aspect of it, though. Yeah. I'm interested on your take on that for sure.
So, Shaun's wife is an artist, a professional artist, and so we've got some things we want to discuss regarding all that. Yeah.
So, what makes you a professional artist versus just an artist?
If you have successfully sold your work, and made money, or can make a living at all, I think that makes you professional. It doesn't make you famous, obviously, but
I just never thought of art as professional. Like, professional athlete, you have to get to a certain elite status.
Yeah.
And then artist is just you're an artist.
That's why I'm a professional dancer. And
Yeah,
not
but
just
we
an
don't talk
artist,
about
not
that.
just a dancer for art.
We all left our singles at home.
It's too bad. Got to make some money with this podcast somehow.
Sponsors?
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's a great idea. Let's have a quick commercial break and talk about this. Camera 1, focus in. And that's been ads. There you go. We're gonna make literally tens of 1% of cents.
Cents, pennies.
Yeah.
But it's
Fractions of pennies.
Because then we'll go from being simply artists to professional artists.
Ooh.
There you go.
That's all it
Because
takes.
money has been made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money, 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 money. Yeah.
Keep doing that.
There it is.
Every
Keep
now and then, like,
doing
bring
that.
back.
More money.
Yeah.
I don't know what they say. They say more money, more problems, but
I disagree.
I would like to have more money just to find out.
Yeah. I'll take some problems.
Yeah.
And I'll pay my way out of them.
Yeah. Send your problems and your money to us. Let's talk about what you do. You've got a bunch of different jobs. It's not just glassblower. Like, there's a bunch to Chad Miller.
Yeah, well, I do the bartending thing also. That's I guess the really only other job that I have currently.
Glass blowing is awesome, and I've seen what you do, and you do some really cool things. But it would be a waste if you weren't at least a bartender somewhere.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good look. I mean, look at you. By God, you're a handsome man. You've got things to say, and you're witty, and people need to talk to you. So if you were just tucked away in some glass blowing studio, what a waste.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, bartending's my spot to shine with
Yeah.
like the best of clientele in the world.
Nice.
Chad kind of looks like Jesus from The Walking Dead. You guys ever you see that?
I get Jesus and I get like dollar store knockoff Jason Momoa a lot.
Okay.
Like just like the like
I
if,
see
if Jason Momoa decided like to neglect his body from the time that he was born and just didn't do anything with himself to become famous, I could totally be that guy.
Perfect.
I have been with Chad when people have accused him of being dollar store knockoff.
Really?
Jason Momoa. Yeah, it's impressive. That being said, you have been Jesus for Halloween how many times?
Every Halloween since my hair got to my shoulders, just about.
Yeah, which is fun because tell everyone what you did to start off college.
I was going to seminary school. I was going to be a man of God and pastor.
What are you now?
A glass blower and a degenerate.
Because there's more money in that.
Well, there's at least more fun. I don't know that there's more money.
That's
More
true.
money and
Churches don't
sin.
get taxed and get a house that's paid for by a bunch of other people.
That's valid. Mega churches.
Yeah, they're pretty dope.
See,
Yeah,
I think
they
of
got
this
private
from the
jets.
perspective of someone from the Northwest where there aren't any like mall-sized mega churches, but you come from down south where that is very much a
Yeah,
thing.
that Joel Austin guy that you hear about
Yeah.
was a couple hundred miles from where I was living.
Really?
2-hour drive is that mega church.
Man.
He's got Kanye West playing there next Sunday. Paid him $300,000. So if y'all want to go catch a Kanye West show, all you got to do is go to church.
Gosh.
So now that Kanye has not just become Yeezus, but also is actually a man of the cloth, when he performs at Joel's mega church, is that also tax-free because it's for God?
Wow. I would imagine.
Yeah, there's got to be a loophole there somewhere.
We
right?
need Professor Armstrong here to tell us what the accounting figures are on that. So
Yeah.
Y'all want to start a Christian rap group?
yes, more than anything.
He's kind of like blazing the path for us. Like carved out a niche for us already with his last album and something we should coattail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Interesting. Yeah.
If Kim K can be a lawyer, then
She's not really a lawyer.
she's going to school. I saw this the other day, some meme that was like,
Chad's like, no.
what? Kanye and Kim's kids are going to grow up thinking of their dad as a minister and their mom as a lawyer. That's the thing that I saw the other day. And I just went, good for them.
Yeah, until they
Ignorance
get
is
about
bliss.
like 15 and
Discover
their
the internet.
friends are like, hey, look at your mom and this dude who's not your dad on camera.
Right?
Hunting.
Yeah. Hey, your Uncle Ray? Uncle Ray J here. Yeah, so.
Ray J. Oh, God.
Do you think that they consider like Ray J, like, does he come to the house for like Sunday dinner every once in a while and, hey, Uncle Ray J's here?
If he, oh my God. If he doesn't, good for them, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
All-inclusive family.
More power to him.
Yeah. Well, because if you think about it, without Uncle Ray J, Kanye would have never met Kim.
Why?
Because nobody would have known who she was.
Okay, that's
She
true.
was just Paris Hilton's like goofy buddy that hung out with her from time to time. Like, and she was like,
You don't want to be associated with Paris Hilton and then you be called the goofy one.
yeah, you don't want to be the cheap knockoff Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
I can see the trend though, the Paris Hilton video, and then she's just like, "Oh my god, that's such a good idea," and then Ray J's in the picture, and
Yeah,
it makes sense now. I didn't know that she knew. I didn't know she was friends with Paris.
yeah,
I had no idea.
I think so.
Just fucking their way to A's.
Whatever you got to do, right? Yeah, what do you got to do today? That was some off-camera talk. So you blow glass, you bartend. Did you? Okay, so last time you and I had lunch together in Eugene, you told me a wild story about potentially going to China as part of a rap group.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
That has not happened yet.
Oh.
But the rap group they're called the Higher Boys. They're kind of like the Chinese version of Wu-Tang. And I met one of them I was doing like a freestyle open mic, and he approached me after and was like, dude, I have a studio in Portland. You should really come up and hit me with all that. And then a couple months later, he came into the shop that I was working at and was like, look, you haven't hit me up. I know that you don't believe me, but look. And he showed me these pictures on his phone, which was like him and this rap group on stage in like a stadium setting with like tons of fucking people behind him. He's like, I really need you to record something and give me like a mixtape so that I can take it to our producer and we can try to get you on and come open for us. But no, that never came to fruition.
Well, be careful, man, because you know what they say, that the Higher Boys ain't nothing to fuck with.
Shit.
You needed to diversify your bonds. Are we gonna get a freestyle while we're here?
Sure, if y'all
I
can,
didn't-
if
I
y'all
didn't-
can
I
play,
didn't know-
if y'all
I
have
didn't-
something to play an instrumental on, so I don't have to do it a cappella like an asshole.
Doot, doot.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
What note do you want?
I don't think I have one yet.
Oh, drink, chug.
Oh, that was good. I'm better at
I
that
need to
than
drink more
clapping.
apparently.
So you told me, like, this guy was kind of like trying to chase you down a little bit to get you to do this, and you thought he was maybe a little bit off, because someone walks up to you in the streets of Eugene and tells you that they want you to go on, that they need you to come record in their studio.
Yeah.
My first intention, or my first thought would be that this person is nuts.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
It seems a little bit like Craigslist ad-ish.
Yeah, and it's
It
Eugene,
strikes
so
me
it's
as like the emails you get from people like
Yeah, Nigerian prince.
like yeah, kind of, yeah. Like Olga gets like, she's been getting emails from this dude, maybe Spanish or something like that.
Okay.
Doesn't speak it English very well, and
Me either.
and he's just like he's just repeatedly sending her emails over and over like, I want to sell your stuff. Here's a contract, and she like reads the contract and is like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just like, which if a guy approached me, he's like, dude, you're fired, man. We got to get you, this, get you on tour. We're going to, Asia or whatever. I'd be like,
bullshit.
who are you and what do you want from me? So that's what I'd be asking some questions for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Then
don't
he
get
pulled
sex trafficked in the name of hip hop.
Oh my God, yeah,
I would avoid that.
Well, if you're getting paid, though, then you're a professional artist.
Ooh.
So,
So does that mean every stripper is a professional?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
As long as once that first dollar flies through the air, you're a professional artist.
As soon as you pick that up with your butt cheeks, you're pro.
What is that not like the actual definition of a professional?
No,
Yeah,
it
I
is.
think so.
Yeah.
If you can make money doing it, you're a professional.
Doing a thing, then you're a professional, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, we're drinking beer. Chad's here. Chad, bartending, glass blowing.
Check.
Talk to us about glass blowing. How did you get into? How did you go from being a man of the cloth to a glass blower?
How'd you get from Texas to Eugene?
Car.
Truck.
Truck. And why? Okay. How and why?
I was working at a like glass gallery in Texas called BC, and we would host demos like once a month. Glass blowers we'd fly them in, and they would do a little demo. And I got put in charge of like kind of being like the concierge for one of the guys that came in. Like I just took him around, showed him everything, got him everything he needed in town, and just kind of hit it off with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend at the time and I had already planned a vacation to come up here. And when we came up here and he found out we were going to be in Oregon, he was like, hey, let me return the favor, come to my place. Like, I'll show you all the state.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out there and just kind of hit it off even more. And I worked with him a little bit in the shop just on like planning. Like we just drew up some pieces and stuff. And he was like, man, if you'll move up here, like I'll teach you how to do this. Like I'll teach you how to do all this shit. And so we went home. We were living with my best friend and her best friend at the time. And we like walked in our living room and we're like, hey guys, we just want to let y'all know like we're going to be moving to Oregon. And both of our roommates were like, fuck yeah, when are we moving? Like, when do we go? And so we stayed with them through the end of the lease because they wanted to come with us. And then drove up.
Which your roommate was?
Stan.
That's it.
Stan, Jordan, and Skylar were the three that I made the trek up here.
And then Stan's little bro came too. Not the same time though, right? Later on.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. So Stan's little brother is actually, he has moved up here and moved home twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did Pat come into the picture?
Right after I got up here, like 2 weeks after I got up here, I was in the shop, and the guy who owned the shop came up to me and was like, hey man, like, I know we've been planning this for the last year, but I'm not going to blow glass anymore. Like, I'm done with this. I'm going to sell all my equipment, so you can either purchase my equipment and keep doing this, or you can just go get a job. So I got a bank loan and bought like all of his stuff.
You've been here for how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But I told everyone that I knew, like everyone in my entire life, that I was coming up here to blow glass. Like I couldn't be here for 2 weeks and be like, oh, never mind. Like just moved across the country, took all of my friends with me.
You don't look like a quitter.
Yeah, yeah. So I bought it and started teaching myself. And that's when y'all helped me move into the garage.
Yeah.
Or shortly thereafter, I moved into the garage and I called Patrick and was like, hey, man, I know that glass blowing is something that you've been wanting to get into. I have all the equipment now and a spot to do it. And if you want to move up here, I've got a couch for you to sleep on until we kind of figure things out.
You were like, I'll teach you everything I know.
Which at that
should
point
take
was
about
nothing.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, no, I can say it in an hour. It's just practice. You're going to have to practice. Yeah. And so he came up and has been here since. I actually just like officially, he's been doing his own thing for the last couple years. He started dating a girl here in town. And he stayed in Roseburg where we went to Eugene. But I just like actually like officially hired him 2 weeks ago. So he's running like all my production stuff now.
Nice.
I was worrying about that actually. That kind of was kind of part of one of my questions that I had for you. We were talking about the art aspect, right? The whole art aspect of everything, which maybe you don't consider to be yourself an artist. Maybe. Do you? No? Okay. What do you consider yourself specifically?
A craftsman, I guess.
Craftsman. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you wear a leather apron?
You can't blow glass without a leather apron.
There you go.
There you go. Boom.
No artist is going to wear a leather apron. That's a craftsman's tool.
I also wear like a tool belt with nails and a hammer just to really sell it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't need those things for
No,
glass,
It's a look.
not.
It's a style.
Yeah.
But if you had to quickly build a cabinet, you could.
Like I'm there for it.
Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned that you took out a loan and bought your buddy's gear and stuff like that. And you basically, have you ever worked in somebody else's shop, worked for somebody else?
No.
Or you just been running your own thing your whole show the whole entire time? And now you've hired people and
Yeah, I've never. I guess I worked for him for a little bit, like
his
right.
protege or whatever for a little bit.
Yeah, I did. I filled some of his like basic orders because he still had some orders when he quit.
Yeah.
So I filled some of his more basic orders, but other than that, no, I haven't worked for anybody else. I just got into a shop that is like a group shop. There's like 20 people working there, but we're all independent. Everybody's doing their own
Wow.
thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Yeah. So you say craftsman, I say artist.
Well,
I would disagree. I think. I mean, well, yes, craftsman, but like also, I mean, you definitely put your own like flavor into whatever you're making. Probably like the reason that what I was gonna say is, like if you're obviously I've never blown glass before, but like if you're working for somebody else, you don't have your own equipment, you're using somebody else's stuff, and you're making gear for them, right? You're making pieces for them. Like you're probably just kind of pumping out, very generic. Like, oh, we need more pipes. We need more bubblers. We need whatever, bubblers, right? They say bubblers.
they say that.
They say bubblers. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Good terminology.
Are those like old school Popeye pipes that you blow and like bubbles come out of?
I don't think so.
Could you make me one of those?
Yeah, I probably could. And that's not what
So-
they are.
so you could
but
pour your
that is-
spinach
I like
in
that
it?
idea a lot, actually.
But yeah, so
I'm
like
just packing my pipe over here.
if you're working for somebody else, like get a captain's hat.
Get
That'd be
one.
such a
Or
funny thing.
you
for
don't
to
just
do,
have
like,
one?
You don't just have a captain's hat.
They
You
come
don't have a
with
Sherlock Holmes hat.
They come with the pipe. When you buy the pipe, it comes with the hat.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah, it's a package.
sick. It's a great deal.
Children in Oregon specifically, they like, it's before, it's like pre-weed. You're like, no, try this. It blows bubbles. And later on, it blows your mind. Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
sorry, please continue.
Well, so, oh yeah. So like, if you're working for somebody else, you're probably just kind of putting out just like, pretty standard stuff, I would imagine, right? But that was like, I'm glad that you work for yourself, because that like makes my question way better. So it's much more interesting, I think, if you're running the show and you're doing your thing. The artist, you get to express yourself through your craft, through your art and stuff. The thing that I wanted to know though was like, how does one price art? And like yours also has it's form and function, right? It serves a purpose. So like, maybe that would affect it a little bit, but I guess like just generally speaking, just art in general, right? Let's just say like tomorrow you made like a masterpiece on, you just painted something up, drew something up or whatever, right? Like how do you price that? And we'll transfer that to the glass stuff, like how do you price that?
That has seriously.
How would you
like,
do it?
The most difficult part of like learning how to be a glass blower is like figuring out.
Nice cock.
That was a big one.
It has been figuring out how to price it. Like the guy that I just hired is doing like my production thing. So he's making like the same series of bongs or Puffco attachments. It's this like weird little vaporizer thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing those. The price for those kind of got to be determined by the market. Like,
Okay.
I got to see other people doing something similar and how they were pricing it, and kind of like put myself in the middle of those. Like, I think that my work is cleaner than yours, so I'm going to charge more than you, but
Yeah.
I'm also not this guy. So that's the way I did it with like the smoking stuff, just because there's such a market already established. The prices are just kind of something you fall into.
I think that's kind of where like the functionality of the art kind of falls in, like you're definitely, it's like obviously if you get like a painting or something like that, like it's a painting. There's nothing, you can't do anything with it. You can hang it over your fireplace or put it in the hallway, or whatever, but that's it.
Yeah.
So whereas like for you, you're like your art does have functionality. So it kind of, that makes sense, which that kind of changes the question a little bit, but like, but it's interesting.
The other end of that though is like, so Pat's doing all my production stuff where the prices are set, but then what I make, if I were to consider myself to be an artist, it would be from like the drinkware side of things that I make. I make like whiskey decanters and wine decanters and glasses.
I saw that.
Those have been a lot harder to price.
I've gone through the motions of pricing art with my wife, right? And so for her, she like, it doesn't really have function. It's more just like, it's a piece of art. It's worth what people are willing to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
And so there is no like base price or like market price or whatever. So that definitely kind of makes it more complex. But I thought like it made the most sense, like because she landed like one of her first like big like contract jobs or whatever. She was making a big piece or like a bunch of pieces for a company, right? She didn't know how much, like what to price for it, like, cause art generally speaking is usually pretty expensive, just generally speaking, like, people price that stuff up pretty high because it's like, for, I don't know, it's just kind of a specific customer base, like people seldomly want to fork out a lot of cash, but there's those people out there that do, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was like, okay, so like, I'm not an artist. How would I do this? All right. Keep track of how long it takes to make a piece, hour, just minimum wage, like at least you want to make, as an artist, minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I had someone tell me that does the, is a crafts person. Mm-hmm. And he said that he charges $25 an hour and then tax on from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay. So the way we did it is kind of like almost it's like that, but like kind of backwards, like reverse engineered it kind of, right? So like we did the base, like at least if you're working any job anywhere, you know, whatever, if you're an artist or anything, you want to at least make minimum wage. You don't want to make less than that because you could go get a crappy job and make more money, you know, like, so.
Then you've got a schedule.
Yeah, right. Then you got to work for somebody. And then after that, you know, what's the materials cost? Like, you know, she works with paper. That's like her big medium is paper. So how much did you buy and what did this piece cost? You know, kind of factor that in somewhere. But then like you have like that weird, like, how good am I at my craft or my, you know, I'm an artist. Like, how good am I? How good do I think I am? You know? So like, do you think you're worth $25 an hour? You know, just base minimum, I guess. Like that's like maybe the artist, you know, part aspect of it, you know, like I'm worth $25 an hour, you know, anyways. And so like, that's kind of what I was wondering is like how you would go about that specifically. Like, do you factor that in? Like, do you think are you like the best glass blower in Eugene right now?
I
Will you
for
be?
Fact that I'm not the best glass blower in Eugene right now because Eugene is like kind of like the mecca worldwide for borosilicate lamp working. And so
What did you just say?
borosilicate lamp working, like glass blowing, like what when you tell someone you're a glass blower, the first thing that they immediately picture is like you're walking to this big hole in the wall. It's a furnace and you have like a gaff in your hand and you're like turning shit. That's not the type of glass I do. I do like torch work. I stand behind a torch.
You work with like rods of glass, right?
Yeah. And am turning it with my hand and like traditional glass blowing, like you pretty much you get it hot and you have until that shit cools down to be done with the piece. Like you kind of walk it out of the fire and form it in one go, and then you take it back and you have to reheat the entire thing. Whereas like with torches, you can heat small sections at a time, work small sections, revisit that later. Like there's a lot more room for error as far as time goes in lamp working compared to.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, some of the two greatest glass blowers in my opinion are this guy that goes by Banjo and another guy that's named Jason Lee. They both live in Eugene. And
I really like Jason Lee and Mallrats.
I haven't seen it.
Of course you haven't. We'll get to that.
We will get to that. Yeah.
But as far as pricing goes, like what Casey was saying about, I try to kind of have like an hourly that I would like to make. And glass blowing is expensive. Like my lathe payment, I pay $380 a month for my lathe because it's through the bank. So I've been paying that for a while.
And it's freaking huge.
It's huge. It weighs like a ton and a half. It's massive.
What is this exactly?
It's a lathe. It is
it like
it's
spinning
turning
stuff?
the glass for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I pay $400 a month to rent my shop space. So
Nice.
I have like just about $800 a month going out to.
Yeah. Which do you factor that probably in per piece, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
A percentage of each piece, you know, be like, well, this is like.
Yeah.
I know. That's just bare minimum. That doesn't count the actual materials.
Yeah. Then you have to buy the glass. And the cool thing about the shop that I'm at right now is my electricity and my gas use is included through my rent. Which
right
is,
on.
I like if I was blowing glass out of my house, I would spend $250 a month on oxygen, $100 a month on propane, and then probably up to like $300 a month on electricity just because of the kiln that I'm running. So it's a huge savings for me to be where I'm at, but it's still expensive. So I try to I price my stuff typically trying to make like $40 or $50 an hour, and that sounds ridiculous, I know, but I only charge you for the time that's like on the piece that's finished. Pieces break often, especially if you're working on something that's intricate.
You got to start over and
do
it again. Yeah.
You can have 6 hours into a piece or 10 hours into a piece and be taking it to the kiln, and like the change in temperature on that walk cracks it.
What's the longest you've ever had into a piece before it broke and you had to start over?
The first trade show I ever went to I went to Age in Vegas, and I hit up this like glass blowing hero of mine and just randomly asked him if he'd be willing to like collaborate with me on some pieces. And he was like, dude, that sounds awesome. Sent me a bunch of his prep work. And so I was making pieces with this other person's work. And so I don't know how many hours he had in it, but at the time that I was making it, I had like 9 hours in it. And the very last thing you do is flare the foot on the bottom. And I flared the foot and went to take it out of the chuck. And I was just like, anxious because it's like the most grand piece that I've ever worked on, you know. And I take it out of the chuck and pull, and when I pull it out of the chuck, I didn't move the ends far enough away from each other, so I pull it out of one side and hit it on the other side and break the foot off of it, which is kind of like.
What was this piece? What were you making?
Really no going back. It was a bong.
Okay.
But the internals of it is like this. It's called a pillar. It like redirects the smoke. Smoke goes down through one chamber and then up through an inner chamber that's like sealed. And it was it took me a long time. And then I broke it when I finished it. Like literally when I was done with it, it was.
How did you break it to your How'd you break it to your hero, your glass blowing hero? You smashed the piece.
I went back and took the piece apart to save his sections, and I only the foot was the best section that he sent me, but the foot was made out of that, and so I only lost the one section, and then I went back and finished it. It took me another 7 hours, 8 hours to redo the same thing that I had already finished, but
God dang.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
The pressure, holy smokes. Yeah, I can imagine.
And that's when you become an artist and not a craftsman, because you were just doing it for fun.
Hey, you know what? That's actually, it's funny that you say that, because that is so true. That is so true. Like Olga is, I know I'm name dropping Olga a lot, but she's like literally the artist in my life, right? Yeah. Like everything I know about art is because of her pretty much. But it's so funny how people a lot of people, do people ever go to you and be like, hey man, can you just hook me up with a piece? You love doing it.
All the time.
Just hook it up. Why is it so hard for you? You love doing it. You know, I'll give you $5. Yeah. And it's like, dude, people, it's so just the disrespect, man. The disrespect that people they think artists just do this shit for fun, you know, but they're really trying to make some money, you know, they're trying to pursue their passions and what they want to do. And it's so difficult. Again, I think maybe, you know, your business, maybe it's a little, the functionality, man, changes everything to the art that we're discussing, right? But it's crazy that people even then will just be like, oh, dude, I'll trade you a cheese stick for for a pipe. It's like
I'm lactose intolerant. Fuck your cheese stick.
Yeah, and also fuck you still. So
Exactly. Apparently, you guys put a different amount of monetary respect on cheese sticks than I do.
You're going to give me the whole cheese stick for this?
Wait, is there a dipping sauce involved? How many hours do I have to work?
No, these aren't mozzarella sticks that are fried. These are the pull and peel refrigerator cheese sticks. There's no dipping sauce. It's cold cheese.
Oh.
That you can dip cheese sticks, cold cheese sticks, in tomato sauce, and it's actually really good.
What's this tomato sauce you speak of? Ketchup?
No, you know, spaghetti sauce.
String cheese and ketchup.
No. And a little bit of mustard. No,
intended.
There was a kid snack. I don't think I haven't seen it since then, but it was
banned by the FDA.
It's you get the little cracker sticks and you dip in the cheese, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing, but it's a cheese stick that you dip in spaghetti sauce or tomato sauce or whatever. And it was a snack. It was sold like that. And then
a handy snack?
What?
Like a handy snack?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be damned.
And then, and then you go, next thing you're going home and you're just taking full cheese sticks and just dipping them in the jar of tomato sauce. And you're like, oh, this is awesome.
I have some string cheese at my house. I'm going to go home and open up a can of spaghetti sauce and just go to
see how it goes.
Sounds like it's going to go great.
It's like it's kind of like eating a cold pizza.
And another great thing to do. Is there bad pizza in your opinion? No,
absolutely not.
As far as I'm concerned, pizza goes from like pizza, which is fine, really good, to pizza. But there's no fuck pizza.
I hate pizza.
Oh, no, I've been to Sizzle Pie a couple times and have been not good pizza.
But it's usually 3 a.m. or something like that.
That's the only time I went to Sizzle Pie was at 3 in the morning.
If I'm in that state and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I stumble into your establishment and I don't love your food and want to kiss your chef, you don't have good food.
Right?
If you put food in front of me at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm drunk, it's delicious and you are the greatest person that has ever existed.
There are some places that only should exist after dark. Like Sherry's.
Oh, yeah.
Denny's.
Yep.
Anytime you've eaten food at a strip club, Those are places that you should not eat food in when it's light outside. But after dark, when bad decisions happen,
Yeah, shit facing is dark.
you're like, oh, this is the best mozzarella stick and spaghetti sauce I've ever had.
So here's another interesting thing on the same whole insuring art. Now I know you probably don't have to insure your stuff unless like let's say maybe let's speak hypotheticals. You there's a big glass blowing show, or which I'm sure there are, right? People are exhibiting people's glass from around around the country, probably whatever, like, okay, so you gotta send your stuff to Florida, we'll say, or to New York or something, okay, East Coast, right? That's kind of risky because you're shipping glass, and so you gotta bubble wrap the fuck out of that and pack it as good as you can and hope that thing's fucking like impenetrable, right? Like that's very risky because if it ends up on the other side broken, then that's it. That's the end of the show.
I'm
for
just
you.
stressed thinking about this.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there are companies, insurance companies that specialize in insuring art, and it works like this because I've again gone through the motions here. Long story short, ship something down to Florida for like I think like the University of Florida or something like that. They had like an art exhibit thing going on down there, and it made it there just fine. This said piece of art, right? Came back, big dent in it. But the university, they work closely with an art insurance company, and it was simple as this. This is what we said the piece was worth. This is what we got for said piece from the insurance company.
What?
Yeah. Just like that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like how insuring stuff is like, I mean, like for like cars and stuff like that, it seems pretty black and white, right? They're like, oh, this part's this much, and they literally just like, what does it cost to rebuild the car with like brand new pieces? This is, it's like, oh my God, like you could just pop the dent out, but they're like, no, we need to replace the side panel, right?
Yeah.
That's how pretty black and white. Like that's how that works. But like, it's actually like oversimplified with art insurance. You just say like you report, this piece we were pricing it at like $3,000, and they're like, well, it's ruined now. It's not the original anymore. If you even do fix it or whatever, but we don't care. Here's $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? You need to start.
No, seriously, like
send your stuff
this
out,
is
man.
Why I came here today. I didn't know, but that's why.
You need to send everything to the University of Florida.
Yeah,
because they break everything.
If they do if like whatever company or whatever whoever's throwing on the exhibit or whatever like showcasing all these cool pieces or whatever hopefully they're doing some sort of insurance kind of policy or whatever for people that are shipping their stuff in because because that's like a huge risk. I mean for like glass even, right? Like especially glass. Like
how do you insure glass art? Like,
that's so risky. That's a bad business to get into.
Yeah.
Like we're like 1 out of 10 right now for a piece making it across the country. Like we're just losing our asses on insurance money. Right
I don't know what's going on. I'm insuring all these Jewish weddings, and I'm not. I'm losing my ass insuring all this glass at Jewish weddings. And there it is. That's what I'm here for.
That's so funny.
I made this last February. I made this like wedding set. It was like a goblet or like a big like stein for the groom, and I made this like wine goblet thing for the bride. And then I made the bridesmaids and the groomsmen all like whiskey glasses, wine glasses for the bride's side. But I have it all in 2 gun cases.
Ooh.
And I'm flying home with it. I took it to the wedding, and I'm going through TSA, and like the one with the wine glasses and whiskey glasses, those were like very stable cups, like they were just cups. Mm-hmm. The wine glass that I made the bride had this like ornate long stem on it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going through TSA like 2 days before the wedding. And they have to open these gun cases, and they open the one with the whiskey and wine glasses, and she closes it, and it's fine. She opens the one for the bride and the groom, and opens it, and when she closes it, like there's big foam pads inside of these cases that like give, but you push slowly so it like eases on. She like slams it. When she does, you hear it break. Like you hear this like
come on
ping. And she like looks up at me, and I was like, just fucking close it. It's we're not gonna fix it here.
I'm not looking at it. I don't want to see it. I'm mad at you.
Ruined it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so for the next 3 hours that I was waiting for, after my layover in Denver, I called everybody that I knew in Texas that blows glass, and was like, hey, I know you're busy. I know you are running your own like production stuff out of your shop, but can I please borrow your torch and your kiln? I need 20 minutes. I have to reassemble a stem. Like, that's it. And it was really stressful. I ended up getting in contact with this guy in San Marcos, and I drove up to San Marcos and got it all put back together. But the insurance would have been beautiful. Then
I think TSA should be paying out for something like that, you know? To just like break people's stuff like willy-nilly, and they're like, not a problem.
I went and saw my best friend this last weekend. I went to a concert with her in Milwaukee, and so I flew with
Shout out Jordan.
yeah, hey Jordan. I flew with like party favors, like things that I shouldn't have gotten on the plane with to go to Milwaukee. And I ate a bunch of edibles on the way to the airport. So I slept.
Party favors.
Yeah. So I slept on the flight to Denver, and I wake up in Denver. I have a 40-minute layover, and I've already made it through TSA once. Like I've already, I've made it. Like I'm safe. And I go and get on the tram to go to like the B terminal, and I'm like really groggy. I slept the whole way, and I'm like too stoned to be in public. And the train that I'm on that's taking me to the B gate stops, and it says terminal. So I was like, fuck yeah, this is my stop.
Terminal.
Yeah.
Damn near.
Yeah. And I get off, and it closes behind me. The train leaves, and like all the signage that I see is like ground transportation, baggage claim, like all the shit. And I walk up to the security guy that's right there, and I was like, hey, how do I get to B? And he's like, oh, you have to go back through TSA. No. He's like, you took the wrong exit. And I was like, well, can I get back on the train and go to B from here? And he's like, they're only paying me for one thing right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And he's like, and that's to make sure that nobody gets back on the train after they've gotten off of it. So you have to go back through TSA. So I go and do the priority line and get up to the front, and the lady's like, you're not a priority passenger. I was like, yeah, I know. My flight leaves in 20 minutes. I'm not supposed to fucking be here. Please help me out. And she ushered me through, but I had to do the whole TSA thing again.
This guy's only job is to make sure that nobody gets back on the train. Hopefully your only job is to help people get through this gate.
Yeah.
To get to their plane.
I need you to have a more beneficial job to me than the last fellow that I spoke to.
Before we get any further, could you describe what you think your job is? Because I need to know if I'm talking to the right person here.
Well, when I went through it in Eugene, I had this big bag of Dutch Bros white coffee that I was taking to Jordan, because like I asked, what do you want from Oregon? And she's like, please, white coffee. And so I had that, and then I had this other bag of things, and they pulled.
We're not TSA. You can share. It's fine.
So okay, cool. So I had a bunch of acid dropped on all these Triscuits, right?
I wasn't expecting that.
That's not what I was expecting either.
Somehow that exceeded expectation.
And
it was an animal cookie.
I have a Ziploc bag with 10 Triscuits in it. That's it. Like I'm trying. Like I look like someone who obviously.
What do you prefer
needs
your
more
acid
than
on? Well,
10
Triscuits, of course.
Well, most people
time.
drop it on like gummy candies, but then you have to like let it sit out and dry for like days. A Triscuit's absorbent as fuck. Like it instantly takes it. So
Plus, it's delicious.
I'm surprised that's not actually on the box of Triscuits. Like Triscuits, absorbent as fuck.
like a bunch of recipes on the back. They're like, you can do this cream cheese dip or acid. It goes perfect for crushed black pepper Triscuits.
I think I saw that on Pinterest.
Yeah. But so when I go through Denver, I told them immediately, like, hey, I have this
I have Triscuits.
bag of coffee. I think this is going to be a problem. And they're like, cool, take that out. And I take it out. And she's like, do you have any other food with you? I was like, yeah.
Oddly enough,
I have these Triscuits. And so I like put them
Triscuits.
in this separate bin thing. And I'm like watching as they take my Triscuits and my coffee to this like screening area where they're like running wands over it and shit. And I'm like, this is how I get fucked. Like this is where it all goes downhill for me. I've already done this once and was fine. And now because I got off at the wrong freaking exit and dealt with the guy who's actually doing the job that he's getting paid to do.
I mean, good for him.
One job.
Yeah. They like they held my Triscuits and my coffee and jostled them and ran wands over them and stuff, and then handed them back to me, and I got to.
Turns out they weren't bombs.
Yeah, yeah.
Good news.
You're like, I'm on ketosis currently, and I'm only allowed 10 Triscuits. I know this looks strange to you.
That's my grain count for the entire week. Yeah,
I have high blood sugar, so I'm only allowed 10 Triscuits per flight. The only thing these things are going to blow up is my mind.
That's so funny.
Wow. I heard something about this actually the other day. Why peanut allergies are more prevalent now. It's not just because, like, what is it? Gen Z and millennials are giant pussies.
So true.
What is it? Okay, boomer.
I'm so sick of OK Boomer.
I'm not a boomer, by the way. I would like to point this out, that the people that are probably frustrating you are us Gen Xers.
Does it, real quick, what's like the tier system? Because I'm actually like still trying to figure this out. Is it boomers, millennials?
No. Boomers are people that were born post World War II.
Okay.
so we're all boomers.
So my parents,
Okay.
born in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
50s, 60s, boomers. 50s, early 60s. 70s, 80s, that's Gen X.
Okay.
And then millennials are 90s and aughts.
Okay. And then Zoomers, right?
The Gen Z, whatever the latest, are people basically born post 2000.
Okay. But they're Zoomers, right? That's what Gen Z.
I think they should be. If they're not, that's fantastic.
That's what people are saying is Zoomers, boomers and Zoomers.
Boomers and Zoomers.
Yeah, Zoomers.
Bang, Zoom!
The young.
Chad was on a flight with some boomers and Zoomers, and he had to go through TSA with them. What do you got in the bag there? I got 10 boomers and Zoomers, buddy. And some white coffee.
No, the coffee I thought was the Zoomer.
The boomer, yeah, that right.
Here comes the boom.
So do you boom before you zoom, or do you zoom before you boom?
All I want to do is zoom, and boom, boom.
That's a really good question. I prefer to boom first.
Because then by the time you zoom, you're booming.
Yeah, exactly. Then by the time I'm zooming, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
In post production, we need to insert the Big Lebowski clip where he's like, I'm on a very delicate whatever recipe of uppers and downers, man.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was for Halloween. That's what I was for Halloween this year.
Let's just start dressing up for Christmas.
Who
Who are you for Christmas this year?
Some spice.
Yeah. We're not doing gifts this year. We're all just dressing up instead.
Mom comes downstairs dressed as a maid. It's like, what the fuck? Go back. We're not doing this anymore. Back to pajamas. We're all wearing matching pajamas. It's Christmas. Stop.
Mom, Halloween is slutty maid.
She's Santa's little helper.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm slutty Big Lebowski.
Just like a robe and shirt cocking.
I would like to point out that I feel horrible for saying slutty Big Lebowski. Big Lebowski was the old dude. Lebowski was the cool guy, the dude.
Both of them could have been slutty.
It's
though.
the money
movie didn't really
Lebowski.
delve into their
That's the money Lebowski.
sex life.
Yeah.
He could have been a whore, the old one.
I think he was.
I hope.
Yeah. Since we have delved into the realm of drug use in this pod.
We've dabbled.
We've dabbled in drug use in this pod.
Mm-hmm.
Triscuits.
Snacks. Yeah.
Whomst in history would you like most to do drugs with or get drunk with? What would you do and who would they be? Do you want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'll give you a second. Ignore what I'm saying. You think of your own thing, but I'll talk for a second. So I thought this through. I had to preface this by saying I've never done drugs. Yeah,
Same.
Yeah. So this is probably the most hypocritical thing topic I can broach. However, I've decided that I would most like to do drugs, like dealer's choice, with either Debbie Harry, Carrie Fisher, or Stevie Nicks sometime in the late 70s, early 80s. Mostly because I think they were really hot during that time frame.
And they know their way around some drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They show you a good
Fisher
time.
seems like, by all accounts, she was the funnest, coolest chick around. she was a chick then at that point. Mm-hmm. That's what you had to say. But like there's a story that you can look up online, I'm sure, but about a lost weekend that she spent with Dan Aykroyd and then left him for Paul Simon or vice versa or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But they were all just like all these guys that were like the who's who of cool people in the late 70s, early 80s were like clamoring to hang out with her. Not because she was the most gorgeous of all people at that time point, which, I mean, you know, Slave Leia, not bad.
Not bad at all.
But she was like the coolest, funniest person around. So all these people that were cool / funny were like, nope, she's better than me. And then case in point, I mean, she went on her last jobs in life basically was to be a script doctor because she was so funny and like well equipped to make really cool like changes in giant productions and things like that. But yeah, that's my choice.
Good choices.
Thank you.
I guess I would, if I had to pick the drug and the person, I would want to do cocaine with Elton John. Because I've heard it on tour, like when he was in like his heyday, he had someone on payroll. Their only job was to follow him around and give him key bumps and lines. Like really paid a cocaine caddy.
Cocaine caddy.
Yeah. So that for Elton John. I would like to do LSD or mushrooms with Salvador Dali, just because he had just such like a wild way of viewing the world. And I don't even know if that's anything that he did. This sounds like somebody that does a lot of drugs would say this, but he said something like in an interview, they're like, do you do drugs? And he's like, I don't do drugs, I am drugs. Which I think is like a beautiful perspective, because
a very meta answer.
People that do drugs often are doing it to like obviously alter their state of mind and like change their reality, and they give all the credit to the drug. Like I had so much fun because I ate LSD and it, made my experience like the common denominator to all of your drug experiences are you. Like you are why that drug was good. Like your experience from that, like that was you that gave you that experience. The drug enhanced it, but had you not been there present and willing to do those drugs and to be a part of that like scene in that moment, it never would have happened. And then I like to smoke weed with Chris Farley.
Ooh, that's what I was going to say.
That's
Chris Farley for sure.
Sit on the couch and just get stoned because I think I'd be fucking cracking up.
You need a diaper.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You know how, first off, I would like to have met Chris Farley just because every comedian that you ever talk to that ever passed through Saturday Night Live says that Chris Farley was their idol. And I don't know, it's like people who say like, like Kurt Cobain was an amazing artist or whatever. Like how much of that is just kind of brought out because he died early, right? Yeah. But, so many people that are really well-respected people in comedy say that he was just the best. So yeah, like what a guy to just hang out with and be a fly on the wall and watch do his thing.
Really good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think that, everyone always says like, well, I would like to smoke weed with Willie, who is, by the way, like everyone has their a lot of married people have like their list of people that they would like, this is my celebrity get out of jail free list or whatever. My drug list, the guy who's never done any drugs at all list is I would 100% smoke weed with Willie because you gotta, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta break bread.
He would break you.
So would you,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, would you smoke weed with Snoop Dogg? Because I mean, I feel like that's like different genres, but same situation.
They're like the two most iconic.
Because
in that
same thing with the cocaine caddy or whatever.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg pays somebody like 50, 60 grand a year to just roll blunts.
Wow.
And he's like, I guess he was on Howard Stern show with Seth Rogen. Have you seen this? Mm-hmm. Oh, so anyways,
I've heard of this. I haven't seen it. But
Yeah. So this guy just happens to know like about the time you're gonna want a blunt, and he'll just be like, light it up and send it off your way.
He's not simply an artist; he's a professional.
Oh, and I guess this guy can roll just a nasty blunt.
We have.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to if you're gonna be Snoop Dogg's
blunt roller. It can't be an average blunt,
right?
Right.
You are by probably all accounts the Michael Jordan of that job.
Yeah. Where did he even find? How? Okay, did Snoop Dogg have a friend that was just like really good at blunt rolling and he's like, hey, you're coming with me? Or was he like, man, I need a blunt roller and I need you to make me a Craigslist ad for the best blunt roller in the world? Like, how
I
did
think
he
they
find
just, that's like one of those job finder apps that you go to.
It's
like
on
website.
monster.com.
Yeah, Monster.
Angie's List.
Yeah, I need somebody to search the internet for it. I'm taking resumes now we've checked your references and we've decided that you are in fact the best blunt roller.
Can you imagine how much money that's got to be, like, to pay for the product, to pay for this guy to roll it? I mean, I wonder if it gets benefits.
You think Snoop Dogg still pays for weed?
I
If I were growing weed,
I had somebody give him
I
some
would be like,
free.
Snoop Dogg,
Yeah.
I just mailed you 4 pounds. I hope you love it.
Yeah,
Like,
Snoop doesn't pay for anything when it comes to weed. I know this for a fact because I was for a short amount of time in the beer business, and I didn't really pay for any of the beer that I drank for 6 years. And it was because everybody that had anything good brought it to me, a very small fish in the beer world, very small, but brought it to me to drink and try and enjoy. Now, if I would imagine if I were like, I don't know, the Snoop Dogg of beer, like, yeah, you would never have to pay for any of that stuff.
No way.
ever.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure he's got his own line.
Sure. But yeah,
I'm
he's-
almost positive
he's
of that.
reached the, I mean, if he's a smart businessman. And
Yes.
so I'm guessing that he is, not only is he not paying for it, he's making money off of it, which makes sense.
So on that note, I would like to smoke weed with Martha Stewart. Because can you imagine how great that would be? I'm sure she could make you some like delicious edibles, and then with come munchie time,
Snacks
Oh.
afterwards.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I'm there
what-
for the snacks.
Yeah.
I like snacks.
That's why I don't smoke
snacks are so
weed
good.
anyway, because I just live in the perpetual state of wanting snacks anyway. I don't need to enhance that. Like, I'm already pretty chill. I already really like odd food pairings. I'm good.
You should really try, if you get the chance, LSD on a Triscuit.
On I hear they're Triscuits. That scares me
Dude.
so bad. That, like,
Every time you eat a Triscuit, like,
has Chad been here?
yeah.
But like, no, just I don't know anybody that's ever told me a really great, I was on LSD, acid, mushrooms, whatever, where they, like, I couldn't somehow in my mind just turn it around to something really scary happening. You know?
yeah, I've heard some horror stories of people tripping with their friends. And like, once a week I went and saw this guy, and he was tripping with a bunch of his friends at some apartment complex. And there's like a lot of research chemicals going around, like knockoff versions of acid that aren't scheduled drugs. So they're
Benefits of living in a giant college town.
so people
A lot of
can
research
people
drugs.
can move them easily. Like if you get pulled over with it, they can't charge you for what you have because it is not scheduled. It's not LSD. It's 25I or 2CI or some other dumb acronym. But they were on something that wasn't LSD, and like that can be really bad. And he started having like a horrible trip, and they put him on the balcony of this fucking
Well, it's not a good idea.
apartment complex, and he jumped. Like he was fine, and he fell 3 stories, and like broke his back, broke a bunch of ribs.
Didn't die?
Broke his legs. He crawled like 1.5 miles to a highway, and someone found him and took him to the hospital, and he lived. He made it. He like survived this fall.
Case in point. Not a good story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Well, you
Yeah.
brought up bad stories. But
Let me write this down. One more reason to not do.
you don't hear the good ones because it's like, how am I going to have a good experience with something that you've never experienced, and then try to explain to you how I had a good time on it? Like, the horror stories are easy. Everyone can relate to like bad shit. It's like
Being
oh,
scared of
man,
anything.
That he fell. That sucks. That's really scary. But like if it's something I enjoyed, like I went to this Lettuce concert and I ate acid at it, and then I had the most astounding time of my life. But I can't explain to you why. I can't tell you like what the acid did that made it better. I can just tell
Try
you.
to
I had a
explain
good time.
scene music to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Even if you tried, I'd be like, okay. I
Ever been to a
probably
laser
know what
light
you mean.
show?
I saw music. I ate colors.
Yeah,
Great.
but seriously, it's like if to someone that has never experienced it, there's no explanation possible, and to somebody that has experienced it, there's like no explanation necessary. Like if I'm talking to Stan, who has eaten acid at shows, and I'm like, dude, it was amazing. You know, I ate this much. This happened. You know, like I saw these songs played, Santa be like, oh, that's so fucking cool. I'm so jealous. Like, you got to do that. But then I tell you the same thing, and there's just not context. Yeah.
Yeah. I also am bad with fractions. So no one ever hands you an edible and goes, enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah, like, don't eat all this at once.
Yeah. First off, 1, I eat like a fat kid. 2, bad with fractions. So if they're like, listen, take the cookie, eat a fourth of it. In my life, I've never eaten a fourth of a cookie.
Yeah, no, what? Why?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna be just like in a ball of spit in like no time because you handed me a bag of cookies to enjoy over the course of like 6 months, and I was like, yeah, bag of cookies. That's a 5-minute problem.
Someone give me some milk.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about to dunk all these in there, and then drink the milk. So
The milk wouldn't get you high.
if it had a bunch of floaties in it, it might.
It might, yeah. Actually, that would. And the fats, they bond and it travel. It might.
Yeah.
Hey guys, are you still with us? We told you it'd be a long one, so now's maybe a good time to take a pause break, take a stretch, get a snack, use the restroom, have a cookie.
Yeah.
I always lose one cookie in the milk.
Yeah.
It'll slip right out of my grasps,
Yeah.
my clutches.
Yeah. If you're not dunking your cookies in milk with a spoon as a life preserver on the side, you're probably not doing it right.
Wow, I've never done it right.
There you go.
Never done it right. I always wait till the end and then try to drink that soggy.
Yeah,
milk.
same.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
And there's something really gratifying about it. at the
There's a
end. Like,
reason why when you go to the pool, like a public pool, they always have those life preservers on the side. Because sometimes you're going to need to throw that life preserver to somebody. And that's what that spoon is, sitting beside your cup of milk is grab that cookie before it completely dissolves.
I've always taken we'll call it the perfect pop approach to the cookie.
Yeah.
You know, when you pop popcorn,
Okay.
you try and hold off as long as you can to try and get the perfect pop. No kernels left, no little seeds left.
I
Right?
gotcha.
Yeah. The perfect pop.
It's a risk. With
So the
cookie.
perfect cookie dunk, right? Like you dunk that and you hold it and you hold it. And even when you're like, it's getting close, you keep holding it.
Yeah.
And then you pull it out and it snaps and it goes boop down the bottom. You're like, oh man, but when if you get it right before there, and it's got you just throw that in your, yeah.
I think we need to do a cookie dunking contest.
Well, here's the thing. This is the secret, you
I have
guys.
a
Listen.
bunch of Oreos in my truck and a half-gallon of milk if you want to do that right now.
All right. This is all you need. And first off, good for you for traveling.
That's how I travel.
Yeah. The perfect way to eat Oreos, I have discovered, is first off, no double stuffs.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, double stuff is obscene. But you take 2 Oreos, you hold them together, and you dunk them in the milk. And then
Club
you have the structural integrity on the inside. It gets soft on the outside. So you bite through the first layer, soft, second layer, crunchy, and it's nirvana. It's Oreo nirvana.
I used to stick a fork in the cream and then dip it that way with the Oreos.
It's because you have an engineering background. You're very smart.
I think that's pretty damn close to the spoon technique then.
I think it is, yeah. I think
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
akin
it's
to
the
that.
same concept.
Fork in the cream, just dunk the whole thing, and the whole thing's just soaking wet, and you're just like, ah.
Yeah. But
That-
but
that's-
the,
Yes, dry spot from your fingers.
the,
Right.
Smart.
the
But the crunch is
double-
the crunch thing.
the double Oreo thing is
Little
what
crunch
gets it
ratio.
because you get 2 Oreos and you have a crunchy inside. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, you're right. Having a little crunch is good.
Yeah, I have never done a line of Coke in my life, but I've done a lot of lines of Oreos. And let me tell you,
Talking rose.
yeah, I'm about to do some lines, and whoa, that's happiness.
So I would do drugs. Well, dealer's choice. It'd be dealer's choice.
Yeah,
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget.
Holy, what drug do you think he would choose? If
Oh,
All
man,
of
I
them.
don't
Have
know.
you heard the
But
Bob Saget stories?
This would have
Yeah.
to be. It would have to be not like Bob Saget as we know him now. It would be. I'd want to do it with Bob Saget, like Full House.
Yeah, 90s era Bob Saget.
Yeah. America's Funniest Home Videos. Like that
Yep.
one, right?
Yep.
And
You ever
before I
sucked
knew
dick
that
for
he's like
Coke?
just insanely crass and super vulgar. Before that. So like, basically, I guess I'd have to be. When he was that era, I was like too young to do drugs, right? So this is, I'm
You're
just
like the same age as the Olsen twins.
yeah, actually, kind of right. Probably pretty close.
Yeah.
I think.
You're never on Full House, but you're probably more successful now.
Maybe. But yeah, and just going like, hey Bob, what's up? And he'd be like, you want to do some whatever? Probably like, what does he do? Probably cocaine. I think maybe.
Cocaine. Maybe maybe he gets wild like PCP.
Well, didn't he have a cocaine addiction? Wasn't that kind of like the big thing? Is he?
Yeah.
It was cool at the time.
I don't know if he did or not. We have to say allegedly, probably. But
Yeah. But anyways,
I've
yeah.
heard.
And I would just, be like, okay, Bob. And then I would just, my mind would be absolutely blown. I'd be like, what happened to Bob Saget? What'd you do with him? Because you're like, you're Full House, you're Funny Stone Videos. Like, what happened? And he'd just be like, let's go fuck some animals and go kill some stuff. And then I'd chase him around yelling Bob Saget and, whatever. I don't know. Like, it would just be an experience.
He like
probably.
Harold and Kumar go to White Castle when Neil Patrick Harris shows up and they're like, did you get that reference?
I actually have. That's a movie I've seen.
All right, so let's jump to this.
Yeah.
We've danced around this topic long enough. In your life, how many movies do you think you've actually watched?
Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like not just like turned it on. Like, hey, let's watch a movie.
Yeah, the whole thing. The whole movie.
And pay attention to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like could pick up plot points on. So we know Harold and Kumar. That's one.
Yeah, I saw Zombieland 2 the other day, which is the second Zombieland that I've seen. So I've seen a movie recently also.
Love the
Wow.
first
That's
one. I
why
haven't
it's
seen
the
the second one.
one.
Yeah,
2.
I was genuinely very happy with it. Like they waited 10 years to put the sequel out, and they did a really good job with it.
No spoiler alerts, but was there a good cameo in it? Did they do a cameo? Because the
Bill Murray.
the
in the
Bill
first
Murray
one.
cameo in the first one was so good.
Can you beat a Bill Murray cameo?
Very hard.
As himself?
I won't tell you how they do it.
But there's a cameo.
And Bill Murray gets it again.
Yes! Yes! No way! Yeah. We need to put that in the show notes. Bill Murray, Zombieland 2, spoiler alert.
That's
And
so good to hear.
and
I
they
haven't
make-
seen it yet, so
They make
but
a bunch of Murray references through the movie too. Like they did a really good job with it.
hell yeah. No, that's like that was one of the big selling points for the first one. One of the reasons I like it so much is because the Bill Murray cameo was just so funny. And like, the movie's been out, so it's like, who cares about spoilers? But, they shoot him, and,
Yeah.
and he's just like, I freaking hate you. I can't believe you shot me. It was a joke, and he's just like, Bill fucking Murray, man. It's so good, dude. Oh, man. I love that movie because of that.
Zombieland, when it first came out, I avoided like the plague because I was just like, really?
Another fucking
Zombie
zombie,
movies?
yeah.
Like, nah. And then, then I found out that Bill Murray was in it, and I watched it, and it was everything I wanted, like everything I didn't know I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the reason we bring this movie thing up is because you and I have talked several times about the fact that you've lived for a large stretch of your life in Austin, Texas, but have never watched Dazed and Confused. Have you seen that at any point since we talked about this last?
No, I haven't. I've probably seen, to answer the number of movies that I've seen, maybe 30.
Yeah. And why is that? Like you and I have talked about this, but why? Why?
When I was like really young, I just wasn't really allowed to watch movies. Like my parents were pretty big on like the censorship thing. And then when about the time I was finally like, they were trusting me to do things like watch movies and be a responsible adult. I got caught not being a responsible adult selling prescription pills on my high school campus.
Oh, you blew it.
Yeah, real quick. And so they immediately, I then got Amish grounded. Like I couldn't have a phone or TV or like I got to have air conditioning, but only because the rest of the house had it.
If we could somehow heat your room up,
Yeah,
we would.
yeah. If we can make you more miserable, we would. And so then, like, when all of my friends were at the stage, like, where everyone was like hanging out and watching movies, and everyone was like developing like their taste in movies and shit, I just wasn't allowed to watch them, and just never got into it. I don't want to sit down for that long unless it's great, unless it's an incredible movie. I just can't. I don't have the
Good for you.
time. I have the time. I'll go do something else, like play a video game for hours on end. But when it comes to movies, I just can't.
I don't really like to go out to movies.
Yeah, I'm the same.
That's, yeah.
I like the idea of going to the movies, but I never go.
Yeah, I like the idea of being able to like watch it in my own comfort.
I was so stoked for John Wick 3, just ready. Like I'd watched the first two. I was ready to go. I talked about it for weeks leading up to it, and then I still haven't seen
John Wick 3.
John Wick 3.
I still haven't seen John Wick 1.
I haven't seen any of them either. But
Watch
I
'em.
want to.
Yeah.
I want to. Like, I wouldn't be like so hyped I'd go to the theater and that I don't think the last movie I think I've seen in theaters, if I remember correctly, was Fury.
With what?
Fury with Brad Pitt.
Brad
It's like
Pitt.
that tank movie and Shia LaBeouf.
Another movie
no,
I
I
wanted to
haven't.
see but haven't seen.
Yeah. And the only reason I
Was it
like,
good?
I have a friend who's like a huge movie guy. Like he was like, you remember Movie Pass? Do you remember when that came out? And it's already gone, I think. But it was like Netflix for going to see movies to theaters.
Okay.
Like you could go see movies for like a subscription fee, essentially.
Wow.
And our local theater had that deal.
Did they come with popcorn and Junior Mints?
No, I don't think so.
Hot tamales?
Yeah, I think it was just the movies. I think I'm not really sure. Anyways, I have a friend who was like that into movies, where he would go so much that he's like, oh, I'm gonna save a lot of money if I get the movie pass. Like I got that friend, right? Only reason I even went to go see this movie was because we went together. That's it. Otherwise, you will not catch me at the movie theater for no real reason other than just like oh, I want to go see that movie, but not that bad.
I grew up in the tail end of drive-in movies, so for those of us that aren't super familiar, you would drive in your car with as many people as you could stuff in the car, because they usually charge you by the carload.
Apparently, I saw True Lies in a drive-in.
Yeah?
The one in Green, Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Starlight.
Yeah. Apparently we did that. I don't remember. I remember watching the movie in theaters, but apparently it was in our car.
Yeah.
Don't remember that, but
this pains me, but I know there's going to be a large portion of people that have no idea what I'm talking about. So drive-in movies, in a nutshell. You drive in your car, you park in a parking spot, you watch a giant outdoor screen, and when I first started watching it, there was like a little like toaster sized thing you would hang on your window, and that was your speaker, and you could hear the movie through there. Mm-hmm. Later on, they would pump it through your stereo, because you just turn it into a station or whatever, 88.1 or something like that. And generally it was kind of hard to see, and the sound quality wasn't great, but it was cool because you were outside, you could wander around or whatever. And when you were a teenager, it was fantastic because your parents would let you go and park, and then you could just, it was like
being out with your girlfriend.
Well, and there was always like, there was always it was always a double feature. So for $5, you and your like 4 buddies could, get into this car and watch a movie and do whatever the hell you wanted. If you were lucky enough to have a girlfriend, I generally wasn't. You could go with them. If not, you would go with your dork buddies and go to the Starlight Theater, what you were talking about, and there was always weird geese that would wander across in the middle of the movie. And if we had one friend that would always chase the geese and get them to fly across the screen.
I like your one friend.
So he was a good dude. Yeah. He is now an underwater welder, and started off. We were talking about hazard pay in the accountant earlier. His first job was welding in a nuclear site.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So literally every minute he spent at work, he was getting hazard pay because.
Wow.
Yeah. He, if I remember correctly, he had to they told him listen, if you want to have kids, you should probably go do the sperm storage thing now, just in case you can't have children later on because of this job. God. Yeah. So. I would like to point out, though, he does not do that line of work any longer. And
Does he have kids?
Yeah, 20 years past. He's got a couple of very healthy, happy kids. Everything's good. But yeah, now he works on oil rigs and that kind of thing. And his dad told me a story one time about him having to. This is a guy we might have to have on the pod. He was going down it was 600 or 700 feet below the surface in the ocean, and to weld something. It was going to take him a day to weld, but you can only go down 100 feet a day. And so he was him and another guy, and they have a sub, a little one-man sub. So you spend half of your day out and half of your day in, and they would drop down 100 feet, and they'd have to chill, wait for the decompression situations to happen. And then, you do that 100 feet at a time. So it was a week to go down and a week to come up and a week to do the job. And they spent that long underwater. And you spent 12 hours inside a one-man sub, only big enough for one person to sleep in, essentially, and eat.
Wow.
And then,
hell no,
right? So he showed me the coolest thing one time. We were at our restaurant, and I was asking him about it, and I was like, "How do you work down there?" He goes, "Well, visibility a lot of times is 0, because as soon as you hit the bottom, all the silt and stuff flies up, and so you can't see. So he said you have to, before you touch down, when you're kind of just floating there, you have to look and memorize where everything is that you're going to be working on. And then you work on it just by touch. And so he's like, you just have to get really great at memorizing where everything is. And so he goes, I want you to do me a favor. Like, I'll show you how we do this. And we were sitting at this table at the restaurant, and he's like, okay, I want you to arrange everything on the table. And so I did. And then he's like, okay. And then I'm going to turn around. He's like, you arrange it. I'll turn around so I can't see it. I'll turn around and check it out. Give me, 10 seconds to look at it. And then, whatever, I'll close my eyes again and I can tell you where everything is on the table. And his memory recall for where everything was amazing. He could just here's the salt and pepper shaker over here. And this is the hamburger right here and whatever. It was amazing. The guy does his entire job, basically zero visibility in miserable circumstances.
That's got to be a very lucrative profession.
It sure as shit better be.
It better be, yeah.
Right?
Just with the risk. I mean, the risk,
Just
has
the
to pay.
sharks. Just
Sharks alone.
Fuck sharks. It's
Assume
like my number one
every
fear.
water is infested with sharks.
Yeah,
everywhere
dude, I
you
don't
go.
even take a bath just in case. I shower only.
I'm not a marine biologist, but I don't think you should fuck sharks.
You shouldn't.
Seems dangerous.
Yeah. They probably don't like it.
So, yeah, I saw Jaws when I was a little kid and wouldn't take a bath for weeks after that. It's like,
I feel it.
Jaws ruined me.
Yeah.
Ruined me with water.
yeah,
Yep. Won't do
scurry,
it.
son. All right, next question. Okay, we're going to go around. We're going to discuss names that you can think of that are less trustworthy than Chad.
I got nothing. Like, Brad, maybe Kyle.
Oh, yeah, Kyle.
Oh.
Kyle's a really good one. That's just a funny one.
Yeah.
Like if you have some drywall hanging around, it's not safe around Kyle.
Yeah.
Because he's going to smash it.
Dude, the internet fad with like Kyle getting shit on lately is honestly like one of the greatest blessings that's happened in
It's
my
taken some
adult
pressure
life.
off the
It
Chads.
really has. It really, like, you monster drinking drywall punching asshole Kyle. Thank
Yep.
you so fucking much, man. Like, you really have done wonders for me here.
So, for anybody that you've lived this, so I'm gonna defer to you here. But for anybody listening to this that doesn't understand the reference, why is Chad a name that is that guy?
I think what's like the first thing I ever saw that started the trend was that Dave Chappelle skit where he had like this like heavier set white guy named Chad that lives in his home, and it's like a halfway house, and like they pick on him the whole time. They like stab his dad. It's like this huge thing, but the whole thing is like, oh, you're such a Chad, like, oh, Chad, damn it, like the whole time. And in the skit, the guy's girlfriend's name is Katie. And all the guys are going around the table talking about how they fucked Katie. And he gets to Dave Chappelle, and he's like, I never slept with Katie. And she's like, Dave, yes, you did. And he's like, that's right, Chad. I fucked Katie too, man. And at the time, I was dating a girl named Katie. So like, like ever since that skit, Chad has just been like the basic douchey white guy name. And
Chad's a frat guy.
yeah.
Isn't the guy in Scrubs? Is he a Chad?
Does he wear cargo shorts? If he does, he's probably a Chad.
I think you meant dad. I wear cargo shorts.
Isn't the guy in Scrubs? He's the Chad.
Zach Braff?
Oh, the
Yeah.
Chad is from Charlie's Angels. Is the Chad?
All right, so names less trustworthy than Chad.
Corey.
Corey. Good call.
That is a good
I
one.
don't know.
like Corey's.
I don't know one person that I would be like, there are no Dr. Corys. No.
No way.
Hi, I'm Dr. Corey Davis. I'll be your surgeon today. Nope, sorry.
No, you won't. Send in the nurse. Let the nurse do the surgery. What's her name? Ashley? I trust her so much more. Send Ashley in here.
There is a girl, Corey,
Good
that
recovery.
works for the city that I would trust with, I think, anything. So, yeah. But Guy Corey.
Guy Corey, no.
It's like, I would argue, like, just because your name doesn't make you bad. Like, I'm sitting here as a Chad, and I don't feel like as horrible as the internet has made me out to be.
That's true. I can, as a friend of yours, I can definitively say you're no Chad.
Having worked with you in the past and sitting down with you during this podcast, you're no Chad.
See,
Also, fun fact,
You're a Chad down, right here
I'm
where
a
it
Chad
matters.
on paper.
you're the.
When I write it, for sure,
Yeah.
Chad. But
Whenever I text you, my phone likes to throw in a flag, which apparently is. I've learned that it's the country of Chad.
they named that after me, actually.
Yeah. Well, see, You know, you get the highs and the lows. You get frat guy Chad, and then
In
you
whole
have
countries.
an entire country named after you.
Yeah.
I think Shane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's just someone that wants to steal from you. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shane's like he's like a failed drug dealer. Like he's a drug dealer that you cannot trust.
Like, you're not even good at selling drugs.
And Shane's too close to Shaun, which that always gets me too.
Shit. Shane Shaun.
Hate it. Kaler's a Kaler.
That's a name. I don't trust his parents.
That's just a local family, I think you're referencing.
No, just a kid named Kaler.
Yeah? Kaler's a more trendy Taylor. He's like a millennial Taylor.
It's like they were trying to name him Taylor, and the doctor was like, "What'd you say? K?"
Kaler's just like the like kid with like boogers in his nose and like a cleft lip.
Can't trust a cleft lip.
We don't need to. We don't need to keep that.
I don't know what minute we're in.
I've got nothing against cleft lips. It was just oh, sorry. It was just a joke. I have nothing against cleft lips. It's just a joke.
So how do you feel about the Me Too movement, Chad? So, Shane, I know one.
No, it's Shaun, dude.
Not Shaun. Yeah, it turns out Shaun was the name we should have been referencing.
No!
The whole time. Shaun with an
people
SH.
with cleft lips.
Yeah, I know a handful of Shanes in my life, and I think one of them I would trust with anything that I own.
I don't think I have any.
Maybe one. I have a family member named Shane, and he's spent. Well, he's like a generation older than me in my family, and he spent my entire life basically in prison. You know, in and out, and I think he's probably institutionalized a little bit at this point. But I've had like one interaction with him in my life. And it was a few years ago. I was on my way to work, and you know, it was 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And and I saw him drive past me, and I was like stopped at a stop sign around the country where we live, and he drove past, and just drove into the ditch and rolled his like truck, just kind of gently. It wasn't a life threatening situation, but just. You know, probably going about 45 miles an hour, and then veered into the ditch and flipped it over on its side.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Whoops. Rolled my truck. And so
Classic Shane.
Yeah. Damn it, Shane. He probably said that to himself when it happened. Damn it, Shane. And so in typical Shane fashion, he was like, you know, reaching for his crack pipe and rolled it. But I pulled up, and I'm like, I had no idea who it was. So I pull up behind him. And he like sticks his head up over out of the door, which is facing towards the sky. Mm-hmm. And he sticks his head up, and I see him, and I recognize him as like family member. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know me at all.
Yeah, I should have stayed in my truck.
Yeah. So I get out, and I'm like, you okay? And he goes, yeah, I was just reaching for something on the floorboard and rolled my truck. I'm like, dude, it's like 5:30 in the morning, you know? And so anyway, he, like I said, he doesn't know me. So I'm like, hey, you don't know me, but, and I tell him my mom's name, who's his cousin.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, I'm, you know, her boy. And you need a hand? Are you okay? And he goes, oh, well, hold on a second. So anyway, somebody had gone by and like called the police. Pretty soon, all of a sudden, like a tow truck and the police show up. And he gets all skittish, and I'm just checking to make sure the dude's all right, you know. And he goes, hey, can you hold something for me?
Oh, no.
I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. Thanks for the offer, but I'm going to go ahead and not go to jail.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my least trustworthy Shane. But it's just varying scales of that afterwards.
And before you went into that story, you were talking about a Shane that you would trust everything that you own with, and then immediately we're like, well, I have this cousin
Who I would never trust.
been in jail. I thought that was the Shane. I thought this was leading up to how that's the Shane that you would trust with everything.
Yeah, I did too.
No, I wouldn't. The one Shane that I know that might be trustworthy, I don't even know him that well, but he seems like a decent guy. Like literally the only thing I have to hold against him is that his name is Shane. So I assume he works at a comic book shop.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like
I don't
that.
know any bad dudes that work at comic book shops.
No,
No.
they're all harmless.
Yeah, they don't hire anyone with a cleft lip at a fucking comedy shop. So
Yeah.
like you're saying,
That's the instant do not hire in Shane Mervin's book.
Oh, come on. It was a joke.
I'm sorry, but to work here, you have to be able to whistle. So.
Oh. I don't even want to. I'm not even gonna laugh at that.
Nate's just like
I can't
tracking
laugh.
edits at this point. All right, so next very important question. We got four.
I'm laughing because you're laughing.
Let's
It's like every time I pull it together, I look up and you're still laughing. I can't.
Your face is so red.
let's talk about something less controversial. Dick pics.
Oh yeah.
So
Send them.
I think we can all, except for only a real Chad would send a dick pic. Mostly just out of confidence, I'm guessing. I know a Casey wouldn't send it.
Just absolute like dumbfounded confidence.
Yeah.
I feel like isn't that like that's like the modern day pickup line right now, right? It's just like sending the dick pic. Like I only know this because I am on the Twitters now more than I ever have been, right? And like the people that I follow, they usually like to, it's girls, right? They put these guys on blast. They're just like, got this in my DMs today, screenshot, and it's just like some dude just saying just the nastiest, filthiest stuff, and then boom, unsolicited dick pic.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's what, and I see that I'm like, wow, people do that now.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. It's so fucked.
On
It's
scale
terrible.
of things that I would never ever think about doing, have the confidence to do. Like, so
To sexually assault somebody
Well, ever
through
even-
DMs.
Even if you weren't gonna send it, let's just say you for your own personal thing, or if you were gonna send it, have you ever just tried to take a dick pic?
I'm not that
I
comfortable with Photoshop.
In high school, I did.
Cool. I wasn't 18 yet.
I wasn't, but I totally.
So I've gotten on to like I have been single for the last year and a half for the first time in a really long time.
The last year and a half.
Yeah, and before then it had been 6 years, and so being single was something that I never thought that I was gonna do again, and going into dating and being back in that has been really weird. And Tinder is that's how you that's how you meet people.
What a wild
But
thing.
it's weird. It's weird because your immediate conversations are all text based or through the app, and girls send nudes, right? That's
Tasteful news.
that happens. Well, it's if you're a woman, your body is at least aesthetically pleasing. You know what I mean? There are things that people want to look at. People get online all day and look at them, and so they'll send them to you, and you're like, wow, these are amazing. These are great. Thank you. And then every now and then you'll have a girl be like, so your turn. And it's for what? You want to see a shag rug with a dick hanging off the front of it? What do you want for how you sent me art, and now I had to sit and now you expect a picture of my dick, and there's no good way. There's no I'm a fan of my dick, but I can never make it look good in a picture, no matter how hard I try, what angle, the lighting, doesn't matter. It always just looks like a dick.
To you, but to them,
Still, I can't imagine that there's another
To
perspective.
you,
It's just-
to them, it looks like assault, brother. So, yeah. So what led me to this is sending dick pics is the modern day equivalent of standing in a park in a trench coat flashing people.
yeah, absolutely, so accurate.
So
Unsolicited dick pics,
Oh,
unsolicited.
No, a dick pic takes time. There's there's some finesse to it, angle and everything.
Yeah, but then you
else.
got to go
But
out
the
and
trench
find.
is just crass.
You got to go
Well,
out
yeah,
and
but
find
you
a
gotta
nice
be
trench
fast because
coat.
you
You
gotta
got to
run.
take all your clothes off, and you got to you got
It's cold.
You tuck it in
It's
for a
so
while,
cold.
and then run around like this, and then you spring it. Is that what I don't
One
know.
of the greatest
You've
Halloween
done
costumes
that.
I've ever seen.
No.
Sean just knows
first
a
you
guy.
do this dance, and then it's the American Eagle jeans get unbuttoned, and then the boxers come down, and then
I know this guy named Shane. Okay. Like,
And your alter ego trench coat, big flashing wearing.
no.
No, not Shaun, but it's Shane Mervin.
He screams it as he opens the trench coat. Shane Mervin.
Remember the name.
Shaun's never done that. He's just spent a lot of time in parks as a little kid.
Seen the trench coat. Seen the form.
Hey, Sally, I think we need to get out of here. That guy over there has a trench coat on, and my dad says that's problems. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I was just driving down the road the other day, and I thought of that. Like,
Oh yeah, that's so good. So
100% of the questions that have popped up on this so far have just been me driving in traffic, going, "Huh, trench coat flashing is the elder whatever version of dick pics."
Pre-camera version. Before
Exactly.
everybody had a camera. On
You were,
their phone.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
before
were talking
social
about,
media and all that.
Taking dick pics as when you were in high school or whatever. Like, I would have had to taken that with one of those like disposable cameras.
Then go get it developed somewhere. Hey, develop my dick pic so I can pass them out.
So
The guy at Walmart making $5.75 an hour.
just a little context. Like what ended up happening was we might.
Good. I thought this story needed context.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to elaborate a little bit, my dad got a free digital camera with a printer.
Danger.
Yeah, and he let in it. So I took custody of the camera. I was like, okay, this is my camera now. Cool,
3 megapixels.
What do you? Fine. Yeah, it was like one of those like crappy Kodak digital cameras, But what ended up happening was I had a girlfriend at the time, and yeah, just took some on that bad boy, and I was like, here, take this for a while. Maybe I got some back in return.
Merry Christmas.
Did it work? Did it occur?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said at the time, and then now they're no longer on speaking terms.
Yeah, not really.
She was never able to look me in the eyes again.
Shortly thereafter, I got.
But it was cool. It was a cool time. It was a great time to be alive.
Great time.
Did you have the flash on?
Wait,
I
what?
feel like the flash was it on? You had to
I
be
mean, if
really
you have
careful.
flash on,
Flash
it looks
is always on
It
when
looks
you're taking
weirder
dick
when I
pics.
think it has flash on. I don't
It
remember.
washes it out.
It was a
It's
pretty
already
crappy
kind of
camera, so it was like the whole thing just kind of looked fucked anyways. But
And also, my dick is just in a horrible shape. Like the whole thing, from the camera to the dick, none of it was good.
I don't know. I don't need to go into that much detail, but yeah. All I'm saying is
Suffice
that
it to say, it sounds like you were in the room. So anyway, next question. This is not an original thought. I heard this on the radio, and so I get it. But it sounded like a fun idea, and I would like to try it. If you had to run a marathon for time, all right, let's just say the 4 of us are in a race.
Chaz are like running marathons. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
listening.
miserable thought, I know. But you can substitute 1 beer for every mile. What ratio do you do for time? I think, argument's sake, marathons are 26 miles and change, something like that. Judging by the bumper stickers I see, they're 26.2. But
That's what that means?
yeah, that's what that means. 13.1, if you see that bumper sticker, that means that you could drink 13.1 beers, I think.
Okay.
Basically, how fast do you think you could get that done, and in what ratio would you go? Would you go more miles than beers, more beers than miles?
I literally think that I could drink 26.2 beers faster than I could ever go 26 miles. I don't think that I had the physical. I don't think I could walk 26.2 miles.
I don't think I could drink 26 beers.
Well, cheap ones. I'm not going. I'm not crafting 26 beers, but
You're not
PBR, I
hitting
think I
26
could do-
IPAs.
Yeah, no. That's
26 Billy Badasses, please.
Oh God, that'd be brutal.
I
I
think
think
badass is bad news.
Chad, I think that you could drink 26 beers, or you could drink a beer faster than anybody could run a mile. That's what I think, right?
Yeah,
that's like my
I think
train
I
of
could
thought.
drink 3 beers faster than anybody could run a mile.
But
Yeah.
can you drink? You can get the 3 beers in, but once you get to like 6 beers, I mean, at some point,
Am I allowed to purge?
the equation, I think so.
Can I puke and rally? If I can puke and rally, I'm doing the 26 beers and just watching everybody else run the marathon.
Also, how much can the stomach hold? What's the rule behind that? Like a gallon of milk you can't do, right? Because you just puke it up anyways.
You can, yeah. So we used to do gallon challenges at the coffee stand with water,
Oh yeah.
and like that's the closest I felt to feeling drunk. We drank a gallon of water in a half an hour. and you start to feel kind of just like floaty and gross. But I looked it up, and apparently, like if you drank 15 gallons of water in a day, your blood cells would burst. You would drown internally. I think there's our limit. So let's say 26. For the sake of argument, we're going to go pints because we're not babies. Let's do the math on this. 26.2 times 16 ounces divided by 128. That's 3 1/4 gallons of beer.
Over the course of time, though, that it would take.
So the average marathon runner. Let's do some internet stats in here.
Well, in this scenario, the race was with the two of you.
Yes,
and
that's true.
I think that I would be generous to assume that you could run 4 10-minute miles in a row.
Okay, the average internet time for first-time marathon runners, 4 minutes and 22 seconds for that's basically a 10-minute mile.
So I'd have to drink 26 beers in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I feel like I would. God, if I tried to run that much, there's no way I could do that.
That's like
Are
7 beers an hour?
Are there any beers that you would are there any miles that you would run versus, would you like, okay, I'm gonna run, I think I could run 2 miles.
Would you run before you drank the beer, or would you
Yes.
drink before you ran?
Have you ever been
Run
drunk and
first.
tried to run?
I haven't, but
I think we should try this.
Oh God.
You want to get shit-faced and go run a marathon for a podcast?
You guys are trying to convince me to jump out of an airplane for this podcast. I only feel like it's fitting that we all get drunk and try to complete the 26 miles / beers challenge.
You make a great point. I'm in.
Deal.
That would be a hilarious segment to watch y'all.
Drink a ton of beer and then go try and run a mile. Even just a mile, I think would be so fucking brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be.
Frankly, just running a mile right now seems pretty brutal.
No, it
but
sounds absolutely
yeah, totally.
disgusting.
we'd have to drink a beer a lap. Could we do that? 1 mile, 1 beer, 1 for each lap. So 4 beers and 4 laps.
Oh,
Who amongst us wins the race?
Dude, I'm like the slowest guy here for sure. I'm super. Remember when we sprinted? We did that little sprint up the street.
Yeah, barefoot.
Yeah, I lost
with Mel.
I lost.
Man, I almost want to race you just because I want to prove that I'm slower than you.
I don't think it's possible, man.
I cannot tell
I'm
you
such a slow guy.
how much I appreciate you guys just automatically not putting me as the slowest guy.
You're faster than me.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, okay, Case. All right.
But only for short distances. We ran a short distance barefoot.
That's true. I'm
Oddly
I'm
enough.
like a longevity kind of guy.
We sprinted up the street in front of the pub barefoot one night. with
Only because I
Nate's
had
wife.
sandals on.
I was gonna ask why
Because
barefoot?
I had sandals
He
on.
had superior racing shoes. And
Nate's,
you're like, we gotta
yeah.
level, we gotta level
I was
this
wearing
out.
my toed shoes and my sprinter spikes. Nate's wife Mel and I have raced once upon a time barefoot across the parking lot at the coffee stand.
Oh.
And that's what really led to that whole thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember the context.
I won that race too.
Yeah, see, Casey's fast.
He's a quick guy.
He's just a
Sneaky
quick guy.
fast for a chubby dude. All right. Well, so it's decided. We're all gonna run. Gonna do a beer marathon.
Yeah, I'm in.
Should we attempt a beer half marathon first?
No.
No.
No. You don't want a 13.1 sticker like a little bitch. You want a 26.2.
Mrs. Miller did not raise a half-assed sissy.
Have you guys ever played Beerio Kart before or heard
Yes.
What?
Beerio Kart?
Is this drinking and driving on video
Yeah,
games?
well, yeah.
I always wanted to do this.
It is
So
the
the reason,
best
it's
game.
funny. The reason I called it Beerio Kart this time around because the last time when I brought this up to you, Case, after I did it for the first time, I was like, Casey, this last week I had such a blast. I went drunk driving. You're like, what? Like you were just ready to just shit down my throat.
Well-
What were you thinking? You're such an idiot, dude. Why would you do that? And I was like, no. Beerio Kart. Like you play Mario Kart and you have to finish the race, but before you finish the race, you have to have finished your beer first. So, but the thing is, when you take drinks of your beer, you can't race. You have to stop.
What's the strategy on that? Do you start
I
with
slam my beer at the beginning.
You slam it, yeah. You slam it right off the rip, and then just go and just like smoke everybody else.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would want one of those
actually a lot of
helmets that you can put 2 beers in and it has a straw, and I would race, and then I would, because I'm a bad beer chugger, I would have to stop, hands off, like put straw in mouth,
Take some sips.
drink as much as I possibly could, and then spit out the straw and get back to racing for a second. I also want to do that. Can we do that on your Twitch stream?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's totally doable.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
Me and Ethan and I played Muppets Racing
Yeah?
on stream a little while ago. It was so much fun.
I saw that. I watched it.
It was so much fun. I don't know why he like that game is like super childhood thing for him.
I have to talk to the camera real quick. Hold on. Yeah. Ethan, we have a podcast idea coming for you.
Oh yeah.
Pull out your wallet. Anyway. So, closing. Chad, this is what the F am I doing? What would you say your most what the F am I doing moment is in the transition from future minister to current bartending glassblower?
I guess like the biggest, like because it is what made the transition for me, at least as far as like being here, was when I got up here and did the whole glass thing for a couple weeks. When he approached me and was like, "Hey, I'm done doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. Either go get a regular job or buy all this stuff." And that moment was the biggest like what the fuck have I done? Like I got all of my closest friends to move across the country with me because I wanted to be a glass blower and everything. Like I trusted this guy who I'd really only met twice and just been having phone correspondence with. Like when he told me like, I'm not doing this anymore, good luck. That was the biggest, like, now what? Like, now what do I do then? You know? And I've pretty much just kind of been living in that, like, what the fuck do I do now moment since then, up until the last couple months. Like, things have started to, like, make sense. Like, I've hired Patrick. I'm in a studio that I've been trying to get into for a year. Like, glass is making sense. But for the first 4 years after he told me that, it's pretty much just been one big, like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, how do I make this work? How do I get to stay up here? How do I not have to go home and tell everybody that I failed at what I said that I was going to go do?
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely that was the biggest. For sure.
Maybe that's what, the guy intended all along. Like, that was your boy named Sue moment, right? Where he was like, it's a tough world blowing glass, and you're going to have to be mighty tough if you're going to pull this off. So I'm just going to throw you in the deep end and bail out. If you can't make it through that, then you weren't designed to make it in this glass blowing thing to begin with.
Yeah, if you can't make it, go back to Texas, asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and our first conversations probably were when you and I sat down to talk about you potentially coming and working at the pub. I've been lucky enough in my life to talk to a lot of people that were trying to get a job, and I've met and worked with more amazing people than I can, count off the top of my head for sure. But that was one of the coolest conversations that I've ever had, when you sat down and you were like, look, I don't care what y'all have for me to do. I would just like a job because I've made this commitment to my friends and I can't let them all down. Like, that was when you told me that, I don't really care what you have for me to do. I just need a job. Because I can't let my friends down was one of the coolest moments. Even if I hadn't had a really luxurious dishwashing spot for you to do at that point, like, we would have found something, because that was so, like, how do you say no to that, right? I mean, it was so cool that you weren't there because you were afraid of whatever. It wasn't just because you needed gas money or whatever. Like, you had people depending on you at a young age. You weren't like a dad with kids or something like that. But no, I've moved all of my friends across the country, and I can't let them down.
Yeah.
And what commitment, man! I mean, you were so set on making it as a glass blower and as an artist and as a craftsman, that it was really neat to see someone that, I don't know a lot of people that have reached that level in their life where, like, I have to make this work and realized it. Most of us, that moment comes and goes without us even realizing it. And you were like, nope, I'm there. I'm on the precipice. So Here I go.
Yeah.
So once more into the breach go I. So good for you. I'm stoked to hear that that's finally working.
Thanks. It's been really great. The bartending thing actually ended up being like the help that I needed, the transition that I needed for glass. I walked in on a Sunday. I only needed to be there for 45 minutes. There was like a lapse in scheduling. Someone needed to go home early. Someone needed to come in late type thing. And I was sitting at the bar, and these guys are at the bar, and they're talking about this bachelor party that they're going to in Austin. And I was like, oh, y'all are going to Austin? I'm from Austin. Like, you should go check this place out, go to this place, And one of the guys was like, what brought you up here? And I was like, glass blowing. And he's like, what do you make? And I was like, primarily right now I've just been making these like Puffco attachments. And his friend that was sitting next to him was like, shut the fuck up and show me right now. Like, show me your Puffco attachments. And I showed them to him. And he's like, man, I own Habit Smoke Shop, which is like a really big smoke shop in the South. Like, they have 30 locations or something like
Wow.
that. And I showed him my pieces, and he was like, how much are these? I was like, they're $100 a piece. And he's like, that's it? And I was like, well, yeah, but yeah, like, that's it. I was like,
Price on art?
That's
question
great.
mark?
I was like, I'm going to be raising the price on them in the next couple months just because I can't keep up with production on them. And the guy was like, I want 10 of them. He's like, put me down for 10. And I was like, cool, I got you for 10. And like a couple minutes passed, and he's like, actually, he's like, how many do I have to order from you for you to lock that price in for me, where I never have to pay more? Like, I don't have to pay 115. And I was like, I don't know, man. And he's like, I'll double the order that I have right now, and I will consistently place that order with you once a month if you can make sure that I only get them for $100.
Wow.
And
Boom.
yeah, and I was like, done. And that's been 8 months ago. And so he, like, having to be at the bar, having to like have another job because I couldn't just make glass blowing work for me, got me the biggest recurring account that I have right now. Like, it's like clockwork. That guy has paid my bills for the last 8 months, and it was just by like a chance encounter at the bar. So
Wow.
doing both has really like made glass possible. Like, the networking that I've gotten from bartending in Eugene has been
That's really cool.
incredible. Yeah.
I think that making coffee or making alcoholic drinks is such a good way to network with people, because you meet so many, everybody drinks coffee or booze, whatever. So you just meet like people from all walks of life, and everybody, like all those people, like, especially if they're like, well, not all of them, but like, if there's like business people or whatever, like people that, like, they're looking for good people.
Yeah.
They go to those places because they're looking for good people who can conversate, and maybe they're like, they have like a secret talent, or, they're just downright dudes. You know? Like, they're like, I like this guy because he's chill, he talks to me, he's personal. And wow, turns out he makes really awesome glass, which, by the way, this is like a really good chance for you to plug if you'd want to.
Yeah. How do we get your stuff?
Yeah.
Right now, I don't have a website set up. I'm dealing primarily like directly with shops, but
I did read on your Facebook that you, in respect to the shops that carry your glass, that you try not to do a lot of like specialty stuff for people or something like that, right?
yeah, any like decanter or whiskey glass or anything like that I make, those are all custom. That's not something like you hit me up and are like, oh, I have a decanter, and I walk to a shelf of decanters and I'm like, cool, you get this one, pay me. I sit down and draw people a list of options for their decanter and their glasses, and they pick the one that they want, and then I make that one for them, and I don't make that one again. Like, if you buy a decanter from me, you get
Or one
a
of.
decanter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for something like that, I have an Instagram called Grail and Chalice that you can order through, or just find me on Facebook, Chad Miller. Shoot me a message, and I'd draw up whatever you were after.
A Grail and Chalice.
Just Grail and Chalice.
Nice. So there's a little segment that I think would be kind of cool, and you're gonna be the first person. We're gonna try it out on you, and it's gonna be hopefully maybe be a reoccurring little bit on our podcast here. But it's called Rapid Fire Questions. Okay. And the premise is that I'm gonna ask you a bunch of yes or no, or elaborate if you just so desire, if you have a good answer or something interesting to say about it on whatever, speak on whatever. But mostly just yes or no questions. And, you know, we talk generally, you know, pretty focused information. You know, we're talking about you, you know, but like maybe there's more stuff that people want to know about Chad, right?
Okay.
And so this is going to cover all of our bases. So you ready? It's going to be quick. We're
Yes
going to
or
go
no?
bang, bang,
I'm
bang,
ready.
bang. Yes or
Yep.
no. Elaborate. Speak on it if you want to. Okay. You ready?
Yep.
All right, Chad Miller. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
All right. Nice. Microwaves or toaster ovens?
Toaster ovens.
French toast or waffles?
Waffles.
Pie or cake?
Cake.
Cake. All right.
Yeah.
Fries and Frosties?
Fries and anything.
Fries and anything. Oh, my God. Okay. Pocket check. Do you know what it is or do you do it?
Pocket check.
Yeah.
Like when I'm leaving the house, like the Macarena dance where you full body pocket.
Oh, yeah.
check? Yeah. I know
Yeah,
it.
dude. Cell phone, chapstick, keys, wallet. Boom.
Yep.
Nice, dude. All right. Are you a bow tie guy or a tie guy?
Hi, guy.
Tie guy. Spicy food? Yay or nay?
Yes. Yay.
Yay. IPAs, stouts, or cider?
Or Shinerbach.
Probably IPA.
IPA. Okay. Dutch Bros or Starbucks?
Dutch Bros.
Okay. And then last question. This is the last one I've got, and this one's a little bit more elaborate. So you're driving down the road, okay, and you're listening to the stereo, you're jamming out. What volume do you choose to put your stereo at? Do you do it at a 5, an 8, a 9, or a 10?
9. 10's irresponsible.
10's irresponsible. You put a 9.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never gotten that answer. It's always different every time. This is a question that I've asked a lot of people, and it's interesting because I like even numbers because I'm kind of OCD.
Okay.
I like evens and I like divisible of 5. So like 10, 15, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like that. I think that sounds better, an even number.
Okay.
It's just free off my mind. If it's a 9, dude, I can't stop thinking about it.
This song would be really dope if it was at 8, but 9, whack.
Exactly.
And 10's just irresponsible.
And then like
It's like
I've
bad
gotten
for your
answers like
speakers.
people are like, dude, 10, I'm going to crank it up to 11. And I'm like, dude, you totally would say that. Brant Brewersman, that's what he said. He's like, I'll crank that up to 11. I'm like, totally.
Middle name's Kyle.
Yeah, definitely. That's Brant, Chad, Boersma. Tupac, Jay-Z, or Biggie?
Tupac's out. Between Biggie and Jay-Z, though, is rough. Jay-Z wouldn't exist if not for Biggie. And so part of me wants to say Biggie for that, but I think Jay-Z's like discography is more impressive than Biggie's.
It took us a minute, but we got to the answer I thought was coming. So, good. Have you guys listened in a slightly different genre? Have you guys listened to any Sturgill Simpson?
Mm-mm.
He did a really cool Nirvana cover. He's a country guy.
Okay.
But he did a really cool cover of Nirvana's In Bloom. But recently he's put out his latest album is the soundtrack to, I think like an anime thing, but it's phenomenal. On Your Way Home, Sturgill Simpson.
Anime track.
It's you just have to type in Sturgill Simpson, his latest album, but it's I listened to that on my way home from Portland the other day, and it was wild. It's the best ZZ Top album I've ever heard.
Wow.
Yeah. It was wild. I mean, like the first song is just an instrumental track. I haven't watched the movie that it's all associated with, but it's great. So that's my musical 2 cents. You? Chad, thanks so much for coming, man. This has been everything I hoped it would be. Hopefully it was fun for you too.
Absolutely.
And yeah, guys, thanks a lot. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching, you guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We've definitely enjoyed making it. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and tell us how we did or who you'd like to see next. And check out one of these other episodes that we made because they're also pretty good. Thanks for tuning in.